one thing was for sure. They both believed Sparks to be a total tool.
Be an exciting contest which shows that divorced couples can still have fun together, right?
Mythological hero Achilles. C. On the spot dice spin.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
After the quiz show scandals of the 1950s, networks and production companies used various means to make sure that all of their game shows were on the up and up. They looked after these things militantly because if they found they were rigged and aired, they break federal law and could get their licenses revoked. One of the best clips explaining all of this is from the Jim Perry version of Card Sharks, so take a look at this.
There's so much curiosity about the cards that we turned our cameras on Mike this morning while he was doing his thing. So here in the studio, watch the monitors. You'll see exactly how it's done. Okay, now there's Mike. He's already counted the deck. He and the NBC watchdogs have to check every deck to make sure it's complete and contains 52 different cards. And then he works this specially designed shuffling table that enables him to mix the deck at random. He does this for about a minute, and it's always under the scrutiny of the NBC compliance and practices people. Then the deck, incidentally, weighs about 25 pounds. You can see he's going to give it a cut right there when he's all done. After shuffling for about a minute, deck weighs 25 pounds. They measure 2 feet by 1 feet. Or by 1 foot, I should say. Now, then the deck is sealed, and it is signed by the CMP person. It's dated and locked up until we go on the air. And when we're ready to play, the seal is broken, and the cards are cut in front of our studio audience. And that's exactly how we do it. And for those of you who wanted to know, you got it.
So that was one instance in how these shows look over all of their things to make sure there's no rigging or cheating going on. I talk about that to talk about our subject for the day, and that is George Peppard. You may know George Peppard as Banacek, or if you're an 80s kid, Howling Mad Murdoch from the A-Team. But before he got the Howling Mad Murdoch gig on the A-Team, he was in a bit of a career slump. And when you're in a career slump, you usually do game shows to maybe elevate your character a bit. And that's what he did. In 1979, he went on Password Plus. And the ordeal was horrendous.
It's more than Password, it's Password Plus. Our guest stars, Elaine Joyce and George Peppard. And here's the star of Password Plus, Alan Lennon.
Hi, guys. I'll kiss you if I want to. Well, it's going to be another one of those weeks. Got 2 good buddies here. You must know. Now, Elaine, you've played Password Plus, haven't you? Yes, I have. This is the first time we've got my old friend George Peppard here on Password Plus, and I tell you what, from the old days, I can promise you this, it's going to be a rough week for me. He never makes it easy for me, but it's always a pleasure.
Alan, you don't know the half of it. Rough would be putting it lightly. The show starts off normally where our champion Steve gets himself $5,000 off of Alphabetics and then plays against a new challenger. After getting the first puzzle on the last clue, George then starts to worry everyone.
You did all the work.
What a chip.
No, that's the way the game works. You see, you got all 4 of them, but by not getting it, then they come in at the end.
Listen, I would like to tell you, Alan, that I think this is a wonderful game, and I really enjoy playing it, but...
Here we go.
But the forms we have to sign in order to play that game, I want to discuss with you later in the program. I want the audience to know that there's some terrible things they make us do before we're allowed to play this game.
Would you like to do it now before we go to commercial, just in case?
No, we're going to save it up.
You've got a little complaint to make.
Yes, a big complaint to make. It's about America. It's about America in this program.
George Peppard has a complaint to make about this very program, not the program.
No, not the way it's played. It's the NBC executives, and I hope everybody writes them a letter.
Oh, no. But, I am absolutely neutral. It's my job you're talking about.
So his complaint is about forms that he must sign to play the game given by NBC. This should be delightful, so to speak. After the commercial break, Alan asks George if he wants to make the complaint now. George, acting like an absolute tease, then says he just wants to play the game instead of making his on-air complaint. If you had watched this normally, some NBC standards and practices people talked to him about it and would have been scuttled. That wouldn't be the case at all. George would act out before the rant during the second puzzle when contestant Nancy gave the clue camp for campfire.
Last clue for you, Nancy.
Roast. Campfire.
Campfire.
Oh, but she said camp.
Yeah, she said camp, and it was allowed. It was part of the word, but they allow it now.
Where is that guy?
Wait. Camp is...
I didn't say campfire because she said camp, and I thought the rules said you cannot use a form of the word in the word.
It used to say that. It does not say that anymore, huh? What? It's a different word. You see, camp
You have
is different than
beady
campfire.
eyes.
All right. I have great difficulty defending that ruling, but I don't have to.
After that explanation given by Alan to wave off George's second interruption of the day, Steve once again gets the puzzle on the last clue. But then after the break, George actually does make his rant heard. I'm going to let the rant play out in full, and then I'll explain why it belongs here on Game Show Garbage.
Okay. Now, wait a minute. Now, wait 1 minute. I think that I should do... Would you like me to complain some more about this?
No. I'd like you to explain your complaint. Don't complain anymore. Just explain.
All right. Well, here's the thing, friends. I think you should know that before we do this program, that is did they make you sign that form, too?
I don't know what form you mean.
All right. Well, there's a form that says that you won't cheat, you won't steal, you won't kick your mother, you won't tell anybody, you're not getting any prizes. It goes on and on and on like you were some crook. Well, now, it is really unnecessary in this game. I mean, everybody around this game is paranoid about the truth. They're very careful. And we even have somebody from NBC who watches us. Now, that gets into the police state mentality, and I do not think it's necessary, and I personally resent it, Mr. Silverman and the rest of you. Would you all write him a letter and tell him to stop that?
This is America. Everybody has a right to his opinion. There is, though, this very important fact to remember. When you watch game shows today, you are now assured that what you see is what you get. I mean, there is no hanky-panky. There is no planning. There is no arrangement. There is no way, because all of the networks very carefully supervise their games. The fact that NBC elects to have a form offends some people, but it is true that game shows are militantly supervised by the networks, and for that, all of us in the game show business are really grateful, because we can
That part's
say,
all right.
It's true, it's straight, there's no cheating.
There are two reasons why the rant belongs on Game Show Garbage. The first reason is that the form he's talking about, at least what I'm gathering by his rant, is basically a standard contract that contestants and celebrities sign, saying they don't know anybody that's involved with the production of the show, anybody that works with NBC, they don't know any of the material that's going on to be used on the show, and other effects of that nature. It's the same form that you signed to get on the show in the first place, George. If you hated these type of forms, then why did you agree to come on the show when you know these forms are in place? Because you did sign older versions of that form when you were on Password Before on CBS. This is evident because of the go screw yourself glare that Alan gave George when Alan had to throw to commercial after Peppard rambled for the entire segment. Personally, the second and biggest reason why this rant is in Game Show Garbage is the damage the rant did to the bottom lines of Password Plus and NBC. Because of this rant, NBC pulled the episode, making the Tuesday episode the Monday episode, and Gene having to say this in post.
Here's the star of Password Plus, Alan Lennon.
The program originally scheduled for air at this time will not be seen.
If you weren't with us yesterday, you should have been. If you were with us yesterday, you know that we ended up with a game that was a hard-fought game.
Yeah, we had blue movies yesterday.
Yes, but we also had some very good playing and some editorializing.
Pulling the episode meant all the time and money spent into making that one episode couldn't be recouped. Ad revenues for that episode be zero, and the episode will wither away in archives until GSN aired it in reruns in 1999. This pulling of an episode forced Goodson and Todman to make a 6-episode week with Judy Norton-Taylor and Robert Walden as celebs a couple of weeks later. Adding in the additional production costs of that additional day needing to be filmed and the sunk costs of Peppard's first day not being aired, along with any monies won by contestants, the rant itself I project cost anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000. Peppard would act like a twat the entire week, and after that was done, he wouldn't be invited back ever again to any Goods and Todman show. Heck, I don't think he was invited onto any game show after that. Even after the rant, nothing changed. To this day, game shows still have you sign forms that say you don't know anybody on the staff or the studio where they are taping. I had to sign similar forms when I was in line at The Price is Right this past August, which is to say that I don't know any of the staff or at CBS at the time. I'm certain all the game shows and reality shows have these agreements along with some tasty NDAs on how things go on the show if you make it on as a contestant. So that's the story of Peppard's forum rant, a moment in game show infamy that cost people a lot of money and he got nothing out of it. You know, there are a lot of stories about George Peppard being an absolute bellend, and this was no exception. You should take a look at how Banacek got canceled. Well, that's going to do it for me. I'd like to thank you for watching, and if you really liked it, you know, leave a like, you can subscribe, or if you truly want to see more editions of Game Show Garbage or the Games of 90 or whatever we have on here, become a Patreon backer at www.patreon.com/GameShowGarbage. Until next time, bye-bye.